What is up, YouTube? We are here at Dava Studio. We're going to show you the behind the scenes of one of the biggest creators that we work with, Dive Studio.
This is Dive Studio's silent library.
I'm here with Easton Anderson, one of the lead editors for Dive Studio, and we're going to be breaking down one of their videos, Silent Library.
This project was pretty crazy. This is the first time we had worked with the client and they gave us hundreds of gigabytes worth of footage. These are not short videos. This one ended up being about 22 minutes at the end of the day, and hours of work went into this project. And so it was a hefty task. This is the timeline of the project. So you can see there's a lot going on here. Within this layer right here with all this green footage, these are all clips, but there's about 5 different angles within each one of these green cuts right here. So that's what a multicam sequence is it means you basically got 5 cameras rolling all at once, capturing different angles, and then you can decide which cut has which angle in what point in time. And so thank goodness we were able to do that, because if not, this whole timeline would be about 5 stacks deeper. So this is the intro. You can see that the camera angles are cutting in and out, popping in and out. These are all different camera angles and effects that we added to help tell the intro, because the intro is a super important part of the video. If you cannot hook a viewer within the first 5 to 10 seconds, they're gonna click off, or it's just not gonna make sense to them. So right here we got a character introduction, and this is gonna build up a lot of credibility for this video, especially if you're a K-pop fan. You're gonna know who a few of these guys are, which will entice you to stay for a bit longer. So this part is actually super important. So right here, the graphic animation starts, and you can see on screen it says the rules are simple. When you're creating a graphic animation to help explain something, the best way to test if it's coherent and simple enough for the audience to understand is to play it back without any audio, and if it still makes sense to you visually, then it's a good graphic.
For simple, each player
The rules are simple.
The player who gets the skull card must
Okay, so there's a bunch of safeguards, and there's one card that makes you do the challenge.
Succeed in 5
Shows them doing the challenge. There's 5 rounds included, and they get started right away. Simple enough. I think it's a good graphic. So this was the Silent Library Challenge right here. It got over 500,000 views, and it outperformed a lot of their recent videos, which is an accomplishment. So 2,500 comments. Everybody was pretty positive in the comments, which I was really happy about. You can click on the settings and you will see that it is able to be viewed in 4K, high quality, high definition. To edit in 4K quality though is a huge problem. It will create lag within Premiere Pro, which is like a huge no-no when you're editing videos. So we always proxy our footage. Just to proxy the footage and create a multicam sequence took us like 2 to 3 days to do with how long this project is.
How do you go about the clip selection to make sure that those moments go into the intro, to make sure that people stay and are engaged at the very beginning? Because we all know that the first 7 to 10, even 30 seconds are the most important for a YouTube video.
Exactly. That is a great question. So we ended up restructuring the intro to tell a little bit more of the story. So we included moments and sound snippets where the show host is saying, this is a library. And that way there's like risks, or there's stakes at play. Even before the intro, the more important thing is probably the thumbnail, right? Because it's like, if you don't tell the story or what the video is about in the thumbnail, then it's like, why would people click on it in the first place? Okay, so this part is interesting. This camera is on a tripod and it's just filming straight at the talent here, but there's no camera that's like above the table looking down at their cards. And so it was kind of confusing for the viewers to understand who flipped the wrong card and who flipped the safe cards. And so we had to animate that visually so that it made more sense. And so how we did that is we actually masked out the characters that flipped the skull cards using AI, and we flashed them red and then popped up a skull above their head.
So the Dive Studios, when they give you the footage for the audio levels, since it's Silent Library and gotta be quiet. Did they give you any form of indication of how loud it actually was at the studio?
It was just based on the actual footage itself. I mean, the whole idea behind the challenge is you have to be quiet, but dude, they were so loud and they were like breaking the sound barrier at all times. Like they were just, Mach 10 audio, bro, just screaming. Yeah, that's why at the end of the video, they actually ended up losing the challenge, is because they just couldn't be quiet. We weren't told to necessarily add this, but after referencing other YouTube channels that had done this exact same challenge, we saw that they had been using it, and so we just threw it in there. But this kind of visually explains it, because if it hits the red and it peaks, then the audience would know that they are being too loud and therefore potentially will lose the challenge. Okay, so yeah, they're too loud. Obviously, it spikes. They failed the challenge. We show that visually. And then we have a score counter right here. So the library has 1, the boys have 0. Next challenge. Just try to keep it as simple as possible. So in chronological timeline, this challenge right here was supposed to be the very first challenge that they did. But what we did is we created a list of which challenges we thought were the best to worst. And then we made some of the best, the first challenges that were introduced. That way we were more likely to keep the audience for a longer time. As an editor, you have the power to like manipulate the story and move sections around to make the audience more inclined to stay.
I know the multi-camera thing is one thing that you mentioned, having different camera angles. Was there at any other moment within the actual timeline that you felt like, if only the audience knew how much editing went within this specific section?
If I wasn't in the editing industry and I watched this video, I'd probably be able to tell like a lot of work and thought went into this project. Like we were just working back to back to back to back, and then we eventually went back and forth on revisions and got them the final product on time, and then they uploaded it and it performed really well.
So we did our best trying to break down the ins and outs of the Silent Library video by Dive Studio. Comment down below if you want to see anything more in specific or more in depth within the timeline. Well, in the description below, we're also going to be putting the link to the original video, so if you want to go watch that, you can.
Freaking love you guys. Let us know if you have any questions in regards to editing, and I'll try to help you out.